Now, I'd be the first to admit to my own distorted views of furries. I always looked at them as some sort of weird, creepy community that like sexualized animals, or people that dressed up as animals because they themselves felt like they were part animal. But it actually turns out that they're one of the most misunderstood communities, and society has been very harsh on them for their unique forms of creative expression. In fact, like, majority of the people that take part in this subculture don't do it for sexual desire, don't do it because they believe they're part animal at all. So what are they? Why do they do it? Is it for sexual pleasure? Is it a form of escapism? Is it a delusion? Do they believe that they are actually part animal? Well, in today's video, we are going to look at the world of furries. So what are furries? Well, furries are a subculture of people worldwide of about 1.4 to 2.8 million people who are interested in anthropomorphic animals. In other words, animals that have human characteristics that can walk and that can talk. For example, Bugs Bunny. They can be characters from popular TV shows or movies, or they can be their own created characters from their own imagination. Crafting a persona involves picking an animal to represent yourself as, or less commonly, designing a new mythical animal for yourself. Personas typically have names that are often the inspiration of some sort of artwork or fiction. Some practice fursuiting, in other words, they wear costumes that resemble anthropomorphic animals. Not every furry has a fursona, but majority at 97 to 98%, according to a recent paper by social psychologist Plante and fellow Anthropomorphic Research Project members Dr. Sharon Roberts, Dr. Stephen Reeson and Dr. Kathy Garbasi. They are collectively known as a furry fandom that regularly meet at furry conventions. So, where did it all begin? The furry community began in the 1970s from underground comics that generally tend to be a bit more explicit. In 1976, two cartoonists created an amateur press association by the name of Foodie. They were dedicated to animal focused and were at times generally explicit content, while at times depicting sex with animals, for example, by the name of Omaha the Cat Dancer. The concept of furry originated mainly from science fiction conventions in the 1980s when a character drawing from Steve Galancy's Albedo Anthropomorphic started a discussion of anthropomorphic characters in science fiction novels. So during the late 1980s, furry fans began to publish fanzines, developing a diverse social group that would eventually begin to schedule social gatherings. And by 1989, there was sufficient interest to stage the first convention, and the rest, as they say, is history. The furry convention is for the fans to get together to buy and sell artwork, participate in workshops, wear costumes and socialise with like-minded people. The biggest convention in the States is held at Midwest Fur Fest, which first inception was in the year 2000. This takes place in Rosemont, Illinois, the second weekend after Thanksgiving, and in 2022 it drew in 13,641 members, which was the highest gathering of any furry community in the world and in the Midwest Fur Fest history. So what makes someone turn into a furry? The perception a lot of people have when it comes to this subculture is that they are in some part into it because they're driven by sexual pleasure. And although this actually is the case for some, and they are known as ETTIs or erotic target identity inversions, most people don't tend to do it for sexual pleasure or gratification. Some people assume that furries might be unable to identify reality from non-reality, but it turns out that people that like to dress up as animals are very good at being able to know that the fantasy that they're living in isn't real, and that they are just doing this as a hobby and something that they find enjoyable or fun to do.
People do it as a way of breaking out of a shell.
This is Randy Fox. Yes, that's his real name. His fursona is Yappy Fox.
How is Yappy Fox different than Randy Fox?
Less shy, more outgoing. It's an artistic expression.
They don't have tendencies that would suggest otherwise, such as escapism or delusion or obsessiveness. Despite the fact that they might have a somewhat active and vivid, fantastical kind of worlds that they create, they are just as well adjusted as the rest of us. They just really genuinely enjoy creating worlds and fantasies, and like the rest of us, we do in other forms in terms of writing or playing games. They like to do it by dressing up.
Everyone's inner child comes out, you know, like this is like it's fun because like you would not be able to go out in public and do whatever you want without the suit. You know, you can't go, hi, you know, you can't do that outside because people will be like, oh, that guy's crazy.
People find that their personas are an extension of them, and they feel like they can be more outgoing and more extroverted, which they don't feel like they can do when they identify as themselves. There is a subset of people by the name of Otterkin, which is a subculture in the subculture of a very small percentage of people who dress up as these furries who genuinely actually believe that they are part animal.
So physically, I am a British Columbia wolf, black fur, amber eyes, and the reason I know this is when I dream, a lot of times I am in my wolf form, and I have also had third-party dreams where I've seen myself, and my thought process, I think, is wolf-like.
And a lot of the time they tend to believe that they are part wolf, and there is a percentage that tend to believe they're some sort of like mythical creatures like vampires or dragons, and they're known to have a species identity disorder. It's not as common in the community, but there is a percentage of people that do feel like they are literally part animal. Although not very common, I think it's still important to note that they do exist in this community. So demographically speaking, the furry community tends to be overwhelmingly white males with the average age of 18 to 25. They also tend to be apparently gay or trans or bi. So although there is a community of women, they are nowhere near as high as the community of men that tend to be part of this community. The community itself is very open-armed. It's very welcoming of all religions and cultures. It doesn't matter what your skin color is, it doesn't matter what your background is, everyone is welcome with big open arms. Whether you like to just wear a tail, or whether you like to wear a full suit, or whether you don't like to actually wear anything at all, the community is very open and welcoming to everyone, and I think it's actually quite a wholesome thing about the community, and it's something that isn't talked about this community. And I do feel a lot of sympathy towards the community because they're stigmatized, because even though there's a small percentage of them that tend to enjoy the sexual depravity of animals, the majority of them aren't actually like that, and the level of community and friendship that is built through these communities is actually something that a lot of other communities with much bigger members that are much more prevalent and part of the social norms don't tend to be as welcoming. So I think that's something that a lot of other communities and a lot of other subcultures should learn from this particular furry community, because they're so welcoming and warm to everyone. I think like anything else, just because it's not the social norm doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. And one thing I've learned from doing my research is that the community themselves are not weird, yes, they go against social norms, but they're just expressing themselves in a different creative way than what we would usually see in modern media. And in terms of the media themselves, they tend to stigmatize this community. Even pop culturally, they tend to be stigmatized when they're written into stories. I hope this video has helped you realize that this community isn't a community that is depraved and creepy and weird. I know in Ireland there's a very small community known as Irish Furries, and they actually meet up every year up in the north. At the end of the day, they just enjoy to dress up, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So end the stigma against this furry community. They enjoy it, let them enjoy it. I'm all for it. And it looks quite comfy, you know, I'm not gonna lie. It probably feels quite nice on the body. So what do you guys think about the furry community? Do you think it's strange? Did you have the same misconceptions that I had? Did you just think it was creepy? Are you part of the community yourself? Do you know anyone that's part of the community? You know, let me know what you think below in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. And if you can like and share, it's always very much greatly appreciated. You know, new year, new videos coming as always. So thanks so much guys for watching. I will see you in the next video. Peace out.